am really excited to share with you guys today. I'm super passionate about this topic. This is called No Matter What. And I know this is, you'll see. All right. So, is there anybody out there that appreciates an outline? Okay, there's some of you. Okay. So I got a little bit of an outline here. It's the way that I'm set it up is not like a handout or something on your seat or anything or whatever. I laid it out like this. First, I'm going to make you doubt. And then second, I'm going to make you laugh. So please don't laugh until we get to that part, because otherwise people are going to we've already fallen off. All right, so I'm going to make you laugh. And then third, I'm going to make you cry. It's not that I want to make you cry. In fact, there's some of you that are just not going to cry. But there's a story that I want to tell you that I think is going to perfectly illustrate what can happen to people when we don't follow this thing that I'm going to talk to us about. And it's painful. It's rough to see. You've seen it happen. And so when we get there, my apologies. I hope there's some Kleenexes somewhere. And then last, I pray that God's grace will help me wake you up. Pastor said that this is a very practical message. I think it is a super practical message, and it's done so much for my life. And so as much as there's some other messages that I was like, oh man, I really want to preach, but this is something that right now, I think people need more than ever. Do you know that you were made to win? I'm going to say that again because there's some of you that the doubt is already starting to creep inside. Yeah. Do you know that God made you to win? God made you to win. And right now, despite what you might believe, you're winning. I'm going to jump into scripture now because I know that at this point, y'all are like, nope. There's some of y'all that are like, nope, I'm not winning in all the things I would like to be winning in. In Genesis 1:28, I got Muta's big Bible up here. This has got a lot in it. Takes a minute to get here. In Genesis 1:28, there we go. Oh, he put a little ribbon in there for me. I appreciate you, man. The deliverer Moses says in the first chapter of the first book of the Bible, it says, then God said, let us make, And God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion or rule over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the heavens and over every living thing that moves on the earth. This word blessed is an unshakable well-being despite the circumstances in your life. An unshakable well-being. Well, what is well-being? It's a general feeling of good. You're just like, you ever have one of those days, and I don't know, maybe it's a couple days after you got your hair cut, and you got the right fit, and you got enough sleep, and maybe something good happened to you, and you're just like, I am feeling good today. Nothing can get in my way. I'm like that. That's that general well-being, right? But all those don't think your hair could be wrong. Everything else, it's an unshakable well-being despite the circumstances that you're facing. This is really, really important because what God is actually saying here, if you look at these words, he says, be fruitful, bear fruit. What does that mean? That sure sounds good to me. I don't know about you. Anybody want to bear fruit in their lives? That sounds pretty good, right? This is the original plan, right? This is before things start to shift and go the other direction, right? That's Genesis 2, and then we get into a whole roller coaster of things that happen. But this is God's intent for you. Be fruitful. Then he says to multiply. I think we all like to do that. And then fill the earth, and then subdue it. Have dominion over it. Rule. I don't know about you, but all those things that God is talking about, he is talking about an identity that he's placing on us. You are creators. You are people that are going to fill this space. I just gave you a gigantic playground. And you are going to have a blast out here. You're going to have a blast out here. This is grown man Chuck E. Cheese for all y'all. Right? This is, I made this for you. Everything. Can you imagine God's excitement after he just put this whole thing for you and he put eternity inside of you? It is your identity. That's who you were made to be, is all these things. You were made to win. So what are you winning at? If you were to just stop right now, what are you winning at? See, I think we're all winning at something. Personally, I'm winning in some things that I wish I wasn't winning in. I'm winning in some other things too, but I'm winning in some things that I wish I was not winning in. Like, for example, I'm not good at commas. I know that's a little shocking here, but anybody go to public schools? Yeah, okay. I got a problem with commas, okay? Like, for example, when I go to write an email, I don't know where to put the commas. I mean, like, I know it makes me look bad. I mean, one of the reasons that I love being a pastor and speaking is because I never have to worry about commas, right? When you're live, you don't have to worry about a comma whatsoever, right? But as soon as you got to write an email, here comes the comma scrutiny, right? Like, it's like people, like, I just know I'm about to be judged in a cubicle or somebody looking at their phone. They're like, what is he even saying right now? That's why I like text messages, because text messages, man, you don't have to do anything in a text message. Like, you might capitalize, you might not capitalize, you might put like one comma in or a period, or like you just do whatever you want, right? I am winning at not being good at commas. There are some people that actually say that comma saves lives, and the first time I heard that, I was like, maybe I should take a course, and actually deal with this comma problem I have. If I could save lives, I'm like, I want to be a conscientious person. And they were like, I was like, what do you mean about commas save lives? And they were like, well, let's just take this phrase. Let's eat, kids. Or let's eat kids. I was like, okay, this is too far. You've gone too far, okay? See, I'm winning at something that I wish I wasn't winning in. And I've never taken the time to actually sit down or take a course and try to learn it, try to get better at it. I just continue to keep winning at something that is not really bringing me anything. If anything, it's probably making me look foolish when people are reading my stuff. That's why I bought Grammarly. You were made to win. It's just that sometimes you're winning at something you don't want to win at. So what is the secret to winning at something you don't want to win? What is the secret to winning at something that you do want to win at? There's this elephant in the church world that you gotta navigate. It's like the elephant in the church. Is as a pastor, this was my biggest frustration when I pastored. It was personal responsibility versus God. I'd take people out to coffee, and I just hung out at the coffee shop all day. People showing up, And they would come in and they would start talking to me, and I would listen to them, and I'd listen to their stories. And then I'd listen to their story the next time that I got together with them. And one of the things that frustrated me the most is like they were blaming God for a lot of stuff. And I was just like, man, like I hear you, In the beginning, I was just kind of taking it as it was, like, okay, yeah, I hear you. God's going to be there for you. We'd open up the Bible together sometimes. But over time, I started realizing, and this is why I got into this field of study, is no. There's some things that we have to take personal responsibility for. Man, it's hard, right? It's actually really hard to do this. There's a verse, Proverbs 21:31 is probably the easiest way to look at this, because it has this interesting verse. That comes to us, and it kind of throws us off, but it's super practical. Proverbs 21:31 says, "The horse is made ready for the day of battle, but the victory belongs to the Lord." That just sounds like, the first time I read that, I was like, okay, is this like direction for the stable hand, or what is God trying to communicate to us here, right? It says the horse is made ready for the day of battle, but victory rests with the Lord. Okay, so in other words, all the things you got to do to get a horse ready for battle? I didn't grow up on a ranch, okay? But it's a lot of things, right? Like I know you got a saddle. Help me out. What else you got to put on a horse? A bridle, thank you. I wouldn't have came up with that one. All right. You got to put the things on their hoofs, right? Shoes, that's right. Okay, that's cool because that connects. I didn't plan for this part. I was going to have some audience participation because I'm not a horse guy, all right? What's that? You got to train them for battle. That makes a lot of sense, right? So what God is saying here is there are things in our lives that we have to do. Now, don't let that get confused with religion is all about do, right? This is like, how do you separate? This is one of the things that would get people, right? It's like you're shadow boxing yourself, right? Like, it's like there's things that you got to do, but God's already done everything, right? He's already saved you. And he created a world where you were made to win, but then sin jumped in, right? Now, what is inherently in that passage in Genesis 1:28 is that he was giving you an identity. There's an identity there. That identity is like, boom, you're made to win. This is how I made you. It is inside of you for the rest of your life. The question is then, what is our part? God, I need you to be there for me. Will you show up and help me pay my rent? Maybe. I've seen it happen before, but I wouldn't put it in a spreadsheet, right? Because there are actions that we have to take. So, sadly, I have a story about a friend of mine who is going through a very difficult time in her life. She's older now, and she's lost her eyesight. And she's lost her eyesight. She didn't have an accident. She lost her eyesight, and she has a lot of health challenges based off the decisions that she's made in her life. Diabetes is real, y'all. It is, and it's coming after everybody. If I could save one person right now from diabetes, just from saying this is what's, believe it or not, I'm 44. I mean, y'all should have been able to tell by the no-show socks. All right, like, that's my generation. I like to have my ankles be cool. All right, so, okay, all right. You're going to throw me off, man. Why you got to do that to me, man? That's messed up. I was talking about my friend, man. So this friend of mine started making decisions when she was younger. And as it started to affect her health, she was already locked in based off of those decisions. And that decision and series of decisions created a new identity for her. And she started winning at something that's not what you should win at. You were made to win. And everything you do is built off of this system that God gave you inside. Some of those things that you're choosing, you are winning in the wrong direction. I'll tell you what, I resonate with her, and her story impacts me so much because she loves sweets. And I guarantee you, you can find me eating chocolate chip cookies all over the place. You will find me, if there's chocolate chip cookies in the house, I will eat every last one of them, okay? So I'm not one of these pastors up here like, I got this all figured out. I'm just telling you, you should all listen to me. I've got a lot of it figured out, but I don't have chocolate chip cookies figured out yet, okay? All right? And I don't want, my kids are young, I want to be there for my grandkids and their kids, right? Like I want to be able to see my legacy live on beyond me, right? But I want to see it like happen in real time too. Your life is long. Some of y'all are young, and you're like, man, it will be long if y'all take care of yourself, right? So here, this is the sad part of where this is the part that we need to do, right? We have to build stronger habits because do you know what percentage of your life is habits? 40%. 40% of your life is a habit. And it's crazy because at the end of the day, we kind of get it. Have you ever drove home and you don't remember driving home? Right? That was a habit. Do you remember what you were doing last Wednesday? Probably what you did the Wednesday before. You wake up, you do the exact same alarm clock, this, hit, dog outside, coffee, this, dog, get the dog back inside. Whatever it is that you're doing, it's all a habit. The challenge is that some of those habits are not good habits and they're not leading you to good places. And so what I will put out there for you is that God wants you to use the inborn system that he created for you to build yourself a life. He's setting you free so that then you can build habits to maintain that freedom. Because the default is going to put you right back in a whole nother place, right? The whole Bible study, that's a good habit. Coming to church, that's a good habit. Reaching out with people that love you and you love them and doing good things for other people, those are all good habits. Those all can be rhythms that are inside your life. Who loves things when they're automated? I don't know about you, but I love automation. Set it and forget it. I'll give you one for free right now. If you're young, you better set and forget your IRA right now. I'm telling you, coming to church today is going to make you $1 million if you listen to me. You will make $1 million. I guarantee you there's no latte, no pair of Manolos, there's no bag that's worth the money you will have in retirement if you let compounded interest work for you. But I'm telling you, I'm showing you guys some love right now. Set it and forget it. You don't even see it. And every year, raise it up 1%. And someday, you'll be able to live in style and help your grandkids and everybody else, and you will never miss that money, I promise you. Guess what? Habits have a compounding effect as well. If you set them, all of a sudden, they just start happening automatically. How many, I'm not going to have any hands show up, but I know that there's a great many of you that have tried to set a habit and it just didn't work. Yeah, all right, there's some honest people. I appreciate you. Right? You tried to make a life change, and it just hasn't worked before. And then the reason why is because most people are like, well, it takes 30 days to build a habit. No, it doesn't. It can take up to 65 days. Come on. 65 days. And you got to set up the environment. And a lot of the change that we think is happening is just us rearranging the furniture in our lives, right? It's not actual change. What we have to do is we have to lock in what it is that we want, and then we have to take small actions over time, because habits are built in the way to where if you had two different ballot boxes, right? So one is for the healthy Tim. That's my name in case you forgot, all right? One is for the healthy Tim, and the other one is for the unhealthy Tim. Every time Tim decides, I'm going to put down a chocolate chip cookie, right? That is a vote in the ballot box of healthy Tim, right? And then when I'm like, nope, I'm staying up till 2 a.m. and I'm looking at TikTok and Instagram and everything else in the dark by myself and eat chocolate chip cookies, that's like 3 votes for unhealthy Tim, okay? Every time you take an action, that's a vote, and those votes are toward your identity. And when you keep doing it over and over, it just compounds just like compounding interest. But here's the thing, you can go the opposite way too. You could do things that are great for yourself and put them in that box. This is for healthy Tim. This is for healthy Tim. This is for healthy Tim. And over time, guess what? You don't even have to worry about being a healthy person anymore. You know why? Because it's automated. See, it becomes your identity. Whatever it is that you put in that box long enough becomes your identity. You know, the thing is, I'm 44 years old, and I shouldn't be playing basketball, but I still do. I'm a baller. I hurt myself. People tell me to stop. I come home. April can't stand it because then she's got to take care of me for 6 hours. I'm hurting. Oh, you know, then I come home with crutches. Then she got, like, I'm walking around, you know, and stuff because I just can't let it go. And you know the reason why I play basketball? Because I'm a basketball player. You got any runners out there? Yep. Why do you run? Yep, because he's a runner. See, basketball player, that's my identity. I'm a basketball player. Guess what? I'm a healthy person. You know why I go to the gym and eat good? Because it became my identity. Anything you want, life change is huge. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to boast up here, but I will tell you this. I went from smoking a pack a day to not smoking anymore. Right? I went from a 400 credit score to an 8-something credit score. I went from overweight to being fit. Y'all don't got to crap on all this stuff. The point I'm trying to make is like, that's not superhuman. It's not superhuman. God made you to win. The question is what are you winning at? And how do you switch it? Now, this is where, to me, it gets really exciting. Because God created an identity. We saw that in Genesis. We saw that we have to do our part, right? We got to get the horse ready for battle. And then we saw that identities are what we need to build so that everything is automated, so that the struggle's not there anymore, right? You just are who you are, and you're headed in the right direction. And you can then help other people do the exact same thing. But you have to remember that you have to go after who you are and who God made you to be. You don't want to end up with somebody else's identity, which is so common these days, by watching other people do the things that they do in life and then wanting to become them. Identities are contagious. Be careful you don't catch one from someone else. God made you to be you. And he wants you to win in the right direction, doing the right things that he set you up for, like he made you He wants you to win in the right things. This is where I hope that we do some waking up. This is the fun part. This is the fun part, because once you get past these things, right, and you're like, okay, I hear you, Pastor Tim. You're selling me hard on putting in some habits. You're selling me hard on making some life change. I've been wanting to do some of these things, but how do I do it? I've been wanting to make some changes in my life, but I've been depending on God. I need some help, right? Well, the next step is what I call sorting laundry with God. Because the next step is about awareness. See, I've done this before, and sadly, as a pastor, I've encouraged other people to do this before as well. And that is to find out that somebody needs to make a change. They see it, they identify it, and then they immediately run off and try to make that change. But that's not really the way to do it. Because you don't know why you're doing that thing. And you can, just like Jay-Z said, you can try to change, but that's just the top layer. You was who you was when you got here, right? He's saying what a lot of us are doing is that rearranging of the furniture in our house. That's not a different house. You just change your furniture around to make it look like you had life change. I'm trying to go deep so you don't ever have to do it again, so that nobody can knock you off where you're at, so that you can stand firm in who it is that you are and who God made you to be. That only happens through a process of becoming aware. And awareness isn't something you can hit a button on and pay $29.99 and receive a 7-week course. It is a personal process of you spending time with God and understanding who He made you to be. Why do I do that? Was it my father? Was it the way that I grew up? Why do I spend money as soon as it gets into my hand? Is it because when I was younger I had nothing? And I secretly believe that I'll always have nothing? Why am I doing things that are undermining me? And you can only get to the bottom of that if you spend some time with yourself, with God, possibly journaling. It might take a counselor. It might take a close brother or a sister to sit there with you, somebody who's not going to damage you or hurt you if you share sacred things. But if you really want lasting life change, you want it to become part of the identity that God gave you, and you want to win at all the things that God has placed inside your heart, this is the fun part. It's the hard work, but what's on the other side is worth every bit of effort. And that's what I want for each and every one of you, because the massive impact it will have in your life and the people around you, because I don't want you to just be set free for yourself. I love you, but that will lead you right back to where you came from. Because when it's all about you, it's just going to be about you. And that will never bring you happiness. True happiness is understanding who made you, how He made you, and what your purpose is in this world, so that you can be the best that you can be and live out the identity that God made for you. Who wants that? I know that there's some dreams that are out there. I love seeing dreamers. Now, here's the thing. There's a practical application of this, little habit stuff, like little tweaks and things that you can do and how you can set them. And I spend all my time reading those books and reading the studies and stuff to figure out how to help people out more. I love each and every one of you, and I offered this in the first service, and I'll offer it in the second. If you really want life change, you've tried it before, and you just need to understand some of those tweaks and those things so that you can get yourself going and get some momentum, I'm willing to spend 15 to 30 minutes with you on a Zoom. Just you, We'll figure out what your habit is, and I'll give you a step-by-step process to kind of help you out. I can't help you the whole way, but I can give you a little. But that's what I want from each and every one of you. All right? Can you do me a favor and pray with me? Father God, I just see all the potential out here. God, help us see in the mirror when we look the way that you look at us. Father, I pray that you would bless each and every one of the people out here, that you would give them an unassaultable well-being that can't be aggravated by the events that are happening in their lives. They are standing firm on the identity that you gave them, and they are setting other captives free as well. We thank you for all these things, and we ask in Jesus' name, amen.